And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's the 23rd of June, 2025. Hope you are having a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. I did and I didn't. It didn't end up well. LaGuardia Airport, 3:45 p.m. flight, left at 8:15. There was no weather problems. You know what they told me? ATC. You know what that is? It means they can't get their act together in the skies. Maybe not enough people in the control booths and all that crap. Air traffic control. What ended up happening was at 4:15 we knew we were late, and they kept changing it for half hour. 8:15. I'm not going to say which airline because I love this airline. I just think they really mishandled it yesterday. But we got home safe. All's well. And that is all. But man, oh man, that Northeast corridor. Hey, we have a lot to discuss. Some explanations today. You know what I got today? Gary, can you explain? Can you explain? How is this possible? Can you explain how the Dow was up 374 points, the S&P 57, NASDAQ 183, NASDAQ 100, 229, the transports 332? More than likely, you listening? I have a big change for you. Write this down, mark it down. We have told you to avoid the home builders and housing-related stuff for months. We think they're bottoming here. Just bottoming, not leading, but bottoming. They went through their bearish phase, and we think they're bottoming here. Just letting you know. Why would that be? We're going to explain in a second. But we're going to do a lot of explaining today because you guys are asking. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice. Nice. Okay? Just be nice. And of course, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. Whew. We'll do the markets. We'll do the economy. We'll do jobs, your industry, your job. Iran. And all the news there, part of the explanation. So let's get going. The market. First off, the market opened hot and they sold it off. Why did they sell it off? Because Iran started attacking our bases in Qatar, Qatar. But then we rallied. And oil prices were down a big, fat, juicy $5 and change today. It's a huge drop. How is that possible? We just attacked Iran. The worry of less oil. How can oil prices go down? Well, a few things. Number one, what drives the markets? What have we told you forever? We have told you to follow oil prices and interest rates. Oil prices tanked today, and so did interest rates, which have been going on for a bit. How can that be? Well, we have this motto that we have explained to you forever. Explaining. It's not the news, it's how the markets react to the news. Now, some people would say, if you were to be told, we just attacked Iran and they're threatening to shut the Strait of Hormuz, which is like 20% of all the oil out there and 30% of the liquid natural gas. Holy crap, we're screwed. And the fact that we attacked them, that's got to be bad. And we went after their nuclear, that's got to be bad. Well, you know who's been telling you it's got to be bad? The ass clowns. What? Well, who were the ass clowns? The lefty politicians who were saying it was unconstitutional, which is a blatant lie. The president going in is certainly allowed to. There's a blatant lie that he cannot. And unfortunately, politics have entered the fray. In case you don't know, Bill Clinton bombed Afghanistan and Sudan. George Bush bombed Iraq. Barack Obama bombed Libya, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Joe Biden bombed Iraq and Syria. And he did that Afghanistan crap. He didn't ask for any help from Congress. And then there's the media. Oh, they're so unhappy. See, the media, when somebody on the left does it, it's hooray, hooray. But if somebody on the right does it, you get my point? So if you followed the media this weekend, you would think the end of the world is at hand. And it's not. Explanation. You have a state, a rogue state, an outlier state called Iran, that the Arab countries can't stand. They don't want any part of it. Just so you know, the Arab countries want peace and prosperity. They don't want all this crap. And you have an Iran that is threatened to blow up Israel and the United States and the Jewish states. They treat their women. They execute their women if they're not wearing one of those thingamabobs. They went one threat too far, and we knocked the living hell out of their nuclear. To what extent, we don't know. And I know the president says total success, but you know this president, he exaggerates a lot, so we really don't know. But we've seen pictures, and it looks pretty damn good. You know how we praise the president about saving lives on the border because people aren't coming across and drowning or sitting in the back of trucks and dying of exhaustion or heat or whatever? Well, he's made the world a little bit safer right now. He's made the world a little bit safer because a nuclear Iran, no go. So that's good news, number one. Number two, it happened quick and we're out. Number three, we have knocked the living crap out of their other artillery, as well as the heads. I mean, boy, oh boy, Israel knocked the hell out of a bunch of these terrorists. And they're not military, they're terrorists. And then there's China. Listen to me carefully. China gets a crapload of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz. They have told Iran, do not close that up. And then there's our politicians. The crooked politicians, our politicians that front run things. Do you know a bunch of them bought defense stocks leading up to what we just did? They're crooks. Well, they also bought up oil. And that's why oil prices kept going higher, because of them and in relation to what possibly can happen. So we got to sell the news. And oil prices juiced the market today because lower costs in oil and petroleum is huge to the economy. It is a huge for the airlines, the cruise lines, people who make tires and sell tires. Do you know how many products are made out of petroleum? A crap load. So that's what did it. That's the explanation. It was a sell the news in oil. And I have to add another thing nobody's talking about, but you know me, I'm very good at reading the central bank. Those miscreants at the Federal Reserve. Last week, Last week, a Fed head with the last name of Waller telegraphed a Fed cut in July. They do it on purpose. He let you know by not telling you they are going to, but saying, we think we can, or Anyway, he did that last week, and now today, a Fed vice chair named Bowman would support a cut. That is not by accident. We'll explain that up next. Explaining on Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So the next part of the explanation, how can the market go up when all this is going on? Interest rates have been dropping. The 1-2 punch of interest rates, the cost of capital, and oil prices dropping creates better and bigger and higher profits. Of course, if they stay down. Now, anything I tell you today, just realize the news is fluid. Who the hell knows what's next? We have to recognize that. But we are telling you, if nothing changes, a move is afoot now. Interest rates down, oil prices coming down. We knocked out a lot of their nuclear capabilities. How much we don't know. Israel took out a bunch of their terrorists. And the Fed has telegraphed that they're going to lower rates, which, by the way, means absolutely nothing to you and I. It does not affect the economy. They do nothing for nobody except markets like easier Federal Reserves. That's it. There's the explanation on today. With that hook of the central bank. Gary, can you be wrong about the central bank? Sure. But I've been pretty good with them, haven't I? And they don't do anything by accident. What about the tariffs, Gary? Well, that's a wild card. But I have to believe, say what you want about the president, you have to believe that he saw that he crashed the markets. Listen, the people that love him will lie to you, but he did crash the markets and had to change that stance within a day. So we'll give him credit for the pivot. And I don't think he's going to go back there. In fact, I think it's going to be a dying quail. To what extent, I don't know. But obviously, less is more when it comes to those tariffs. And that's today. And I know it's just today. But remember what we said in the last couple of weeks. I am going to put a little audible to what we said the last couple of weeks. First off, we had said, if the big indices can break above the highs of January and February, that'd be big stuff and will invite more buying. And by the way, this is in a market that's not cheap. But let me put a little audible or addendum to it. If the S&P can break above the last 3 weeks, with the NASDAQ breaking above the last 3 weeks, that would be the good first start, because it's been tightly range-bound action. So the NASDAQ, that number would be 19,800, approximately, give or take a point. The S&P, how about 6060? I don't include the Dow, even though the Dow was strong today, because United Health. And by the way, you know how good the Dow was, being up 374? Amgen had some bad drug news and was down $17. That's 6 times 1 is 6, 6, 6, 402. It's like 110 Dow points. So we're not going to include the Dow. United Health is still down like 2,000 Dow points. But, just letting you know, Housing and housing related, we think is bottoming. It's been an anchor. And possibly those transports can do, the transports are off the lows like most things, but I think maybe if oil prices keep coming down. What else? Well, we've been telling you the big banks have been better. And I got to tell you, when the market was getting hit today, Goldman was down $10, finished up 6. That's 100 Dow points. And then some of the leading growth names that were coming in. Very strong day today for them. You know the names. Netflix, up 22 today. Look like it may break another range. Spotify, up 23. And by the way, these are not gargantuan percentage gains, but these are the important names. I will tell you that Tesla, something about they had some robo-taxi in Austin. Texas was up 8% today, was up more. That's important because it's a high beta name. DoorDash gets upgraded, up almost 10. CrowdStrike up 13. Microsoft up 8. I'm pretty sure I can't complain much when the oil stocks get trashed, oil prices get buried, and interest rates are coming down. I can find some negative things, but the important part of the equation, just some pretty damn good action today in a not-so-cheap market. The market's not cheap. But at any given point in time, market's going to do whatever it wants to do until it decides it's not cheap. So good day today. Started good, then all of a sudden, yikes. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, come on. And they just took it higher throughout the rest of the day, with the potential here of a couple of more areas bottoming, and we'll see what happens. We'll keep you informed on a daily basis and to see how it goes. And then the Dow stocks. I don't know what's going on with IBM, trading at 30 times earnings with minus 5% earnings growth and 1% sales growth. That was up $8 today to a new yearly high. I don't know if it's an artificial intelligence thing. Beat the hell out of me. But that stock is strong, IBM. And by the way, that is an all-time high. And trading at 30 times earnings. 160, 550, 650, 750, 780, 980, 1080. Let's call it 11. Let's call it about 28 times earnings. Still ridiculous. For a no-growther, should be trading at 12. So something's going on. So there's some explanations to you, or for you. I have absolutely no clue what happens tomorrow, but today was really good. I was impressed, and I don't get impressed a lot. And if you're thinking, again, how can that be? With all that's going on, I'm letting you know again. It was a successful operation as of now. To what extent, don't know. Nobody dead on our end. Tomorrow's another day. Up next, more explanations. This is the one only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And by the way, when I talk about housing related, that's Home Depot and Lowe's. Home Depot's been very weak. It was up 7 and change today. Probably about 45 Dow points. Sherwin-Williams has been weak. It was up $10 today. That's housing related. That's 65 Dow points today. And housing's been one hell of a slump. This is interest rate reasoning on the market, and pretty darn sure July is going to be a Fed cut, which, let me repeat, ain't going to do nothing for you. Ain't going to do nothing for me. Could help the market. I think that's probably getting into the market right now. Now 2 Fed heads are at it. And that be the story. And let me add again, I have this little grouping of growth stocks in one area of my screen. Good day. Good day. Pretty darn good day. Semiconductors, okay day. Could have been better. Could have been worse. Banks, good day. And what do we tell you about banks and semiconductors? And let's just throw in transports with the good day. Economically sensitive with the good day. Interest rates down. Oil prices down. And leave no doubt, oil prices going vertical over the last 2 weeks were no help. And today lost of that drop. Today's drop lasts 6 days. So it's very good news. And hopefully it feeds on itself. What's next in the Middle East beats the hell out of me. But if I was to use a professional wrestling analogy, the United States is Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Iran is a jobber. If you don't know what a jobber is in professional wrestling, that's just the guy who's out there losing all the time. They got no game. And they're pretty stupid also. And interesting enough, did you see the ass clowns now they now have Iran. They're protesting for Iran now. That's what they were protesting. They're insane, these people. I've never seen such morons in my life. Just so you know, they're not just anti-Jew. They're not anti-Semitic. They hate this country. Communists, socialists, and we're finding out a lot of them are being paid to show up. What a bunch of scum. Bunch of scum. Hater of these countries. They produce nothing. They create nothing. They yell and scream and get in the way. They don't care. They didn't care about Palestine and the Palestinians. They cared it was Jews. They don't care about Iran. They care that it's America. These people are lost in space. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. As I have stated to you, they're now very boring. They're know-nothings. I laugh at them. Let them keep protesting. You know what we'll do? We'll keep working. We'll keep working hard, creating, producing, being great, while they walk the streets. Unbelievable. Iran. They're murderers. They're terrorists. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. In other news, Oak City wins the NBA. Tyrese Halliburton, man oh man, busts his Achilles in the first quarter. He may miss next season. 7-game series, but I must tell you, I really am not a fan of the NBA anymore. Teams win if they're hot at the three-pointer, or they lose if they're not. I used to like it when they were banging in the middle. They need to start thinking about that. Their ratings are not as good as they used to be. We'll see. In other news, I'm not so sure I can come up with much more. It was an eventful weekend. I spent it with my father, who's, I got to tell you, his brain is 100%, his body, he's going to be 94 in October, not easy. But I hung out with him. We watched 4 episodes of Superman. They have the old Superman on. And then we watched the news and some golf and hung out. And then I spent 6 hours at an airport and flew home. Yay. Yippee yay yay. Next up, there is a bill, a tax and spend bill, but lower taxes and much higher spending coming out of the Republicans real soon. They're trying to get it done by July 4th. I don't think they have any shot. As I've told you, 50% of the bill I love, 50% of the bill sucks. Actually, 30% I love, 70% sucks. The Republicans have conned you and are still conning you into believing that they're doing everything they can on the debt and deficits. It is a lie. It is a blatant, bold-faced lie. We are doomed to 40 trillion, 45, 50. They have the head of the OMB going on TV and saying, we're cutting $1.6 trillion over 10 years. That's off of 22 trillion of new debt. It's amazing that these cretins will get on TV and say with a straight face that they're cutting 1.6 trillion, even though it's going up 22 trillion. Oh, that's right. That's what Joe Biden did for 4 years. Anyway, it comes under the heading, you know our heading, right? They all suck. And again, for the 1,000th time, let us hope the bond market never wakes up and sees how much debt we have and now yearly deficits, which are going to run 2.2, 2.3 trillion a year. Let's hope one day the bond market doesn't wake up and say, holy crap, and all of a sudden you're paying 10% on your mortgages. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. I measure my words quite carefully. They are playing with fire, and they're shooting a certain finger at each and every one of us. And why would they continue to do this when they have a chance to cut back on all the Biden crap? Here is why. If they would cut $1 trillion out of spending, that's $1 trillion less that goes to GDP. The government is included in GDP. Debt is included in GDP. Doesn't matter whether it's debt or real. And they have a midterm election that they worry they will lose if the economy gets too soft because they did the right thing. That is your story. I would say it to all their faces, including the president. Because whatever he says, they will follow. So he is not a debt and deficit president. Up next, what else we got for you? Thanks for being here. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Da-da-da. So after the close today, KB Homes reported earnings downside guidance. Let's see how it trades tomorrow with a group that we believe good chance is bottoming. By the way, caveat, if interest rates spike higher, the group will not bottom. But it looks like they want to go lower. And, of course, add in the big matzo ball, the Fed. I'm pretty sure they are going to be lowering rates in July. I believe they're the end of July, if memory serves me right. End of July. The president broke his silence on Iran's weak missile strike, but Iran says they're not done. I would say they better be careful. It is definitely a big wild card, and it is something that we do not know how it plays out, except to say our military is pretty damn good. And I think they mean business. Our military and our people that run it from the president on down. We'll keep you abreast of it with no bias, agenda, or ulterior motive. I do not believe we'll ever have boots on the ground there. We will not do that Iraq thing. And do not forget, you see these Dems who are full of crap now? Just so you know, they were most all of them were for the Iraq war. They all voted for it back then. It was only when they handled it so poorly that all of a sudden did they say, "Oh, WMD, you lied." Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, politics, they don't care about you. They care about their power and their seat. And they'll say anything and do anything to win elections. And by the way, this is both sides of the aisle. They have proven it time and time again. Big time. Time and time again. Back on markets. Let me be a little bit repetitive. If the S&P can get above 60.59, which by the way is a 0.5% from here, then we're going to attack the old highs of February, 61.47. And I think odds favor. I think odds favor it. NASDAQ, 19,800. Little less than 1% from here. And just so you know, the market's done nothing for about 4 or 5 weeks now, and that's good. The high was 20,204. That's about almost 3%. The NASDAQ 100, 22,222. And we don't think it's going to take much. All the talk is about the V-shape. Well, the reason why we had a V-shape is because you had a crash because of the president and a rally back up because of the president. They realized they crashed the market. They had to lie about it, of course. And that's okay. All these politicians, what they have to do is protect themselves by BSing us. And now if they're smart enough to not do those tariffs again, I think we can be in good stead and have a good next few months. Transports are getting better. We'll see. We mentioned the home builders. Oil prices tanking. Let's hope that continues. By the way, I'm seeing oil down in the aftermarket even more. Wow. It's showing down $6.50 now. It does trade after the close. If it stays down, the pump at the gas station is going to be a lot cheaper in the next 2 weeks. Bitcoin pretty much sat out today until the end of the day. And acts okay. Held the 50-day moving average If you go look at the IBIT, that's one of the ETFs. 50-day moving average, 56.86. It hit 56.63. The GBTC, 50-day moving average, 78.90. It hit 78.51. So that held. Tesla, up 26.27. As I mentioned, the robo-taxi. They had some sort of thing at the Austin, Texas. And let me repeat what I think. There's all this talk now. I saw some expert that came out that actually says there will come a day when none of us will be driving cars anymore. It'll all be driverless. He also came out and said there's a very good chance we will never own cars down the road. That'll be all pickups. And I was thinking to myself, not so sure of that. But then again, I thought the iPod was just another Walkman. So who knows? I will not get into a driverless car. Just so you know. I let a Tesla drive me around a couple of weeks ago, as I said, but I was right behind the wheel. It was pretty cool. I have to admit it. It was pretty damn cool. There's just no way. That's what I call risk management. The market's placing a very big bet. A very big bet. We'll see how it plays out. Tomorrow I'll be on Varney and Company on Fox Business Network, I believe the 9 o'clock hour in the morning. Check it out. And until tomorrow, you'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Peace out all. Good night.